Alrighty, welcome back, everybody. We're moving on to our second draft and final draft of the night here tonight as we're moving in the Prospect League. Drama is afoot out here in the Prospect League. Trades have been happening all over the place in this offseason. I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of them. But the drama in the Prospect League, it's always spicy, Speed, in the Prospect League. There's always, I know you've been in the Prospect League for a while. I know you'll be there this season as well. The drama always goes down in the Prospect League.
Yes, it does. And Rockman, I thought you were going to tell me I was always going to be in the Prospect League, not that I was
Oh,
going to be there this season. That's where you're going. You've been in there for a while, and you will be there for a while longer. I thought
that's what
that's
the
what you
meme
were going to say.
says.
Yes, I thought you were going to quote the meme, but yeah, Prospect is always super spicy, especially now that we're starting, to climb into low GC territory with that MMR. It's always been very competitive, very spicy, but once we start getting those low GCs put into the mix now, it's gotten even spicier. And you know, you get those chally drop downs, it makes things spicy. That might be where some of this spice I've heard about is going to be coming from, is with a chally drop down. Um, but I originally drafted for an extra first round pick just to trade away. And boundaries and stuff happened, and I lost my duo from last season, Chef getting bumped up to low chally. So now I'm gonna be using it. And spicy things are gonna happen, and I don't know what this draft board's gonna look like, because I thought I kind of knew, and I think it's gonna get completely blown up here in the first couple picks, and it's gonna become I think we're going playing darts at the bar tonight, guys. That's what we're playing.
throw a couple at the board here. See what's gonna stick on here. As yeah, big news right before the draft here. Probably about like an hour or two before. Sandsbar and the Bandits trading up for the number one pick, and the word on the street is that they are going to snipe someone that me and Sweeney on Origin were looking at here probably for about 3 weeks, and that's the word on the street here, and that is probably going to force our hand to snipe another team. I'm not going to say any more names. And then I spoke with Muley, and he said that it's going to force his hand to snipe someone that a lot of GMs were looking at. So all I heard is that there is going to be some chaos in the Prospect League first round. So we might have a lot of GMs just hitting the panic button real quick
A
if
lot of
this
3 minute
first
timers.
a lot of 3 minute timers for sure. We're gonna have a lot of panic going on here, Flip, in the first round if things go as they are possibly projected to go.
Look, there's rumors. There's a lot of ooh, if this happens, this is gonna happen. But at the end of the day, Rocker man, it's not about who you're stealing from. It's about who you want on your team, right? And so I understand some players or some GMs, they take a player so they can trade them later and make that pick, but there's always a risk with that. Just ask Foam. Every season he does it. Every season it does not work, I promise. And all I know is this Prospect League, there's a bunch of players that I know, which is surprising. But like these guys, they are all friends from other leagues. Usually, they all have a set team like planned out. But man, there's a lot of roster spots that need to get filled, a lot of picks that need to come in, and a lot of hearts that need to get broken tonight. And so I'm ready for it.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to see. I got to give a couple more quick shout outs here. Shout out to Sweaty, gifting 6 subs before we came back here, and also Grebsy again getting his name out there. And I am gonna go ahead and put the Bandits on the clock. And Ventus, I'm gonna throw it to you because I'm curious. What could Sans possibly be cooking? As Grebsy's gonna gift 5 more, cannot be outdone. But what could Sans possibly be cooking here? Who in the world is he gonna snipe, or is he gonna snipe someone with this number one overall pick?
You know, I heard along the grapevine that there's this player who's pretty high up there in MMR. I don't know if he's gonna get picked, but there's this guy named Jonesy, and
Mhm.
this guy I heard he's pretty good. I heard that a lot of GMs like him. I heard he was probably gonna go the number 2 overall, and then I heard something about somebody jumping to the number 1 overall and wanting to get him. So there it is. Look at that, Jonesy getting taken. First overall, really not surprised at all. Sands knew exactly who he wanted. and he got him with that pick. And I might actually know who's going to go number 2. This is a guy that I drafted on my Nemesis fantasy team last season. He was an absolute stud for me. Helped me win my fantasy league. I don't know if Rockerman's made the pick yet, so I'll leak the name now. It's Adso. This dude is an absolute menace. This guy, I mean, I think he's one of the best player, if not the best. You can put him up there with Jonesy. Um, and I think he's going to do absolute wonders. Him and Sweeney on the same team, that's already a very dangerous duo.
Yeah, no, the snipe does come in. So we are setting ourselves up for the drama and the chaos here in the first round. So Zanzibar does trade up for that number 1 overall pick. Snipes Jonesy. We're going to go ahead and take Ad Tyso. And that could put some GMs, mainly Mealy, in a little bit of a tizzy. Shout out Tizzy, number 3 overall moms pick. But it's gonna put him in a spot here to see what he's gonna do. But he has to wait until number 5 to see how that's all gonna shake out. As now velocity is on the clock, and we're gonna have to see what Jax is gonna do. But yes, Speed, the drama starting out early there with a big first overall snipe.
First overall snipe leading to number 2 overall snipe. Both great players. So I understand, rightfully so, that they're going 1 and 2. But I'm sweating for the next couple picks. Obviously, I have pick 9, I have pick 13 to partner up with me in my own league. So um, I'm sweating. I got my calculator ready. It's not up right now, but it's ready to go, so I can do some calculating in case my plans seem to get sniped here. Um, yeah, I'm a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie here. So we're gonna still wait to see what Velocity has cooking with their empty roster here, as they didn't retain anyone in this offseason.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting to see what Jax is up to. He's made quite a few trades there, getting quite a few second round picks there. So he's got his first round, and then he's got 3 picks in that second round. So we're gonna have to see what he is gonna do. And I've seen a lot of this guy in the chat there. It's gonna be Household Nug coming off the board there, heading to Velocity there. Have been pretty active, and that usually sets you up for success, I would say, especially in the lower leagues there. Ventus being active, and then you know go ahead and pick them up.
Yeah, and I was at a tryout and watched this dude Household Noggin. I mean, he looked really good. He's pretty cheap MMR wise, if I'm not mistaken. He's at 1397, which honestly is pretty cheap for how good I think he is. Taking him at number 3, he gives you a lot of MMR space to work with. You can go next round and get 2 pretty high, solid guys as well. I love this pick actually. I mean, he was my number guy. He was my like number 3 guy coming off the board after Jonesy and Ad Tyso. So this is not a surprise for me at all. I love the pick. Good pick by Jax.
And he's saying the yap did work. He didn't watch any replays, just saw his yapping, and that's what we love. That's what we love to see. Yap your way to a top 3 selection there, going off the board. But 1397, he's probably got some skill behind him, I would say, to be up at that rank. So a solid pickup there. And then this one, probably no surprise here, knowing this guy is tied to the Graveyard Shift org, but MP running big, going at number 4 overall, heading back to the Banshees and the Graveyard Shift. So another great selection there with that one. And I gotta continue on because this draft is playing out exactly
Whew.
as I thought it would. As the snipe has come in here off the board at number 5. It's going to be the sheriff off the board, who I knew
Oof, oof,
multiple
oof.
people were looking at to try to draft in the first round. So the drama continues here in the first round. Snipes are going off the board, all initiated by Sandsbar, trading up to number 1 there. So MP off the board, sheriff now off of the board here, heading over to the Minotaurs.
All right, I'm pulling out my calculator.
Oh
Makes
man.
sense.
Oh,
He's gonna
who
do some math.
we got some heads
Makes
turning,
sense.
and Sheriff didn't even know if he was going to the org. Apparently, that's what I'm reading
that's,
into it.
that's how it goes.
hey, this is a draft league and he got drafted. Didn't know he was getting taken at 5, but guess what, buddy? You're on the Minotaurs now, and man, some I can imagine some teams are making some moves right now in the back end. Hopefully, we get to see, some other reactions like that one. Usually, you see these snipes, Rocker Man, and it's not like everybody wanted this player. It's not like everybody was looking out for it, but I know Sheriff has always been a player that people, you know, are keeping an eye out for, and now he's off the board. Probably a couple calculations like speed. There's a couple calculations need to be made here, but there's still plenty of really good players still on the board here. So hopefully, these players or these teams aren't too thrown off. It was only pick 5, so I feel like if you're not in that top 5, you really don't know if you're going to get your player, and hopefully they have some proper backup plans ready. Speed, do you have a proper backup plan ready?
No.
I love it. I love
Just
the honesty.
just a big old fat no. I don't. I'm in a little bit of panic mode here, but next pick coming in, we'll talk about it. Shackles coming over from UR, no surprise, gonna go team up with MP running. Great pick up there. I expected them to go high off the board because they still have 110 cap room and their team's full. So they could have gone anyone. They almost could have gotten the top player in Chally with how much cap room they had left after those. But they got a lot of good team players on that team. So I think that'll be a good team right there, the Banshees this season.
Yeah,
I'm
that'll be
kind of
interesting.
surprised. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go
Uh,
ahead, Marcus.
I'm kind of surprised that the Banshees didn't trade down a pick, or they kept the number 4 and have the number 6 pick. Their team's already full after just 6 picks of the draft. It's a very interesting strategy. They re-signed Cow and Rare, both players. One of them is going to be their sub, which is also an interesting decision. Usually, you kind of reserve your re-signs for players who are stars, who are going to start, and it's a little bit head scratching for me from an analytical standpoint of, hey, I know we had the 4th and 6th pick, but we already used 2 re-signs in the Prospect League. We need to kind of spread the wealth in our picks to other leagues. Um, and even though I do love the Banshees picks, I think they are some great picks. It just seems like they could have utilized, maybe traded down a little bit, and they might not have gotten their guy, but they might be overall profiting for their entire organization instead of just one team.
Yeah, that's a fair point as well. That's something to consider as a GM. I know I love to do exactly like what Ventus was talking about. If I know, I might not need this first round pick, I'll trade it back. I'll get some future season picks. But hey, maybe they really wanted Shackles there. Like you might just still 110 cap room remaining. So, we'll have to see if, Cow or Rare are going to punch a little bit above their, MMR weight there and see what they can do in the upcoming season. They're the first team in Prospect League to be completely full, all 4 players. So we do have a lot more to go in the Prospect League for sure. And we got to talk about the last 2 selections as well. Vex is heading over to Hypernova, first pick on their empty roster, and Faded going to go ahead and select Days with their selection, going to pair with Gala and Street Soul there, as Speed is deep in the think tank here, trying to figure out what he's going to do on the clock for the next one flip. So we'll give some more time to think.
Yeah, and 2 players, Vex and Dace here, who were players in the Prospect League last season. Um, I mean, one was on a pretty good, in my opinion, Warhawks team. Now, obviously, it had Parker on it as well, which probably helped a good bit. But just and that was Days, by the way. But just as a whole, 2 really solid players here, coming off the board. I mean, honestly, no surprise that they are top 8 picks. But like, I could say that about 8 more players as well. So I still think there's so much actual like well known names, good, a lot of talent left on the board. Um, I mean, some players that won the chip last season are still on the board here. Shout out my boy Postman. He was the sub, but he was also the goat. So there's still plenty of players left in the Prospect League. So Speed, I know you're doing a lot of calculations. You got a lot of things you got to figure out. But man, You have a wealth of players still here for Prospect, and I expect this Prospect League, honestly, to be very, very competitive. Um, and not that it wasn't last season, but just uh, Prospect League. I feel like it's Prospect League and Rival League that are always just the most entertaining every time, every season. I feel like, and I think with all the well-known players here in Prospect, I think that's only going to continue. But that's only if we can get some good drafts. So Speed, I need you to step your game up. The rooks here, they need to be solid.
I'm working on it. I did finalize my calculations and talking to a couple people who've been, helping me out here with this process. And I ended up deciding to go with illusions a little higher than I necessarily wanted to. Um, but we're going to go with illusions. I've played against and with illusions in a couple other leagues. Really solid player. So I'm going and getting me another really high sell player to duo up with me, and time to figure out our third and our fourth. That's going to be back to another probably 3 minute decision on my next pick coming up.
And I gotta throw this one out there. You picked illusions, shout out illusions, but Wolfie is going off the board to Hypernova. I don't know if the MMR exactly works out for Sans and the Bandits, but I know that is someone that Sansbar was eyeing. So couldn't that possibly be another snipe right there? Wolfie coming off the board, maybe Hypernova, having to panic a little bit with their selection going off the board. So things that the snipes might just they might just be still coming.
And I think, I might not want to leak what Speed was looking at, but there was a potential of Illusions, Wolfie, and Speed being a Prospect League team after trying to pivot off of Sheriff. So maybe getting sniped once again, gonna need his full 3 minute timer, probably just to kind of scramble.
Thankfully,
I
I
mean,
wasn't sniped on that one.
you weren't okay.
I wasn't. Wolfie was part of the original plan, but with the snipe happening, I knew a lot of other people were going to be going, so I went a little higher, figuring Wolfie was going to be going before my next pick, which he did. So I played that card right.
Fair enough. But yeah, that is still a little crazy there. Maybe it's a snipe from Sandsbar there. I don't know. But Wolfie, I mean, a great player as well in Nemesis. We've seen since way back in season one, all-time demo leader right there, Mr. Wolfie. So watch out on the pitch if you're in the Prospect League. That guy is coming for you, and he will wipe you off the pitch for sure. And yeah, he's gonna go over to Hypernova, and then next couple picks coming through as well on the board there. Big Guth going over to the Gladiators, and then only Clangers is heading to the Blackhawks. Love the name right there. There, Flip. I know you're a name
Hmm.
guy, but that was a pretty good one right there.
Yeah, only clangers. I expect the most pristine shooting out of this man, and I expect a lot of crossbars hit at the same time because you can hit a clanger to the top bins, or you can hit a clanger off the crossbar. It's one or the other. But I expect some absolute banger shots coming through. Big Guth, man, Big Guth. He was a great player last season. He was part of the Melons for a while before we had to let him go. He got passed around a little bit, but that's just because he's got a lot of experience. He was a winner, and everywhere he went, he had success. I feel like he was a very solid player. Like nothing too crazy, nothing too flashy, but sometimes you just need those solid players to hold down your team. And Big Guth able to do that here for the Gladiators. And honestly, I can't expect too much, out of this Gladiators team because they've gone 18-0 before and proceeded to lose in the first round. So it's a shame that he went to a cursed org, but best of luck to him and best of luck to the Gladiators for winning a playoff game.
I gotta shout this out since I was a participant in as well. Not to just prey on the Gladiators' downfall, but they did also get reverse swept by my Origin team last season in the playoffs. So tough times there for the
Yeah.
Gladiators. But hey, maybe they can turn it around. They got Virgil on the roster and now Big Guth, Nemesis veteran right there. Seeing what he can possibly do to help the Gladiators out in season 13. Hey, maybe it's lucky number 13, maybe not unlucky, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, and now we got once again the team that needs the best calculator of all time apparently because Speed is going to work, going to town. And Speed, I know you're very busy, and I know the clock's winding down on you. In fact, you only have a minute left. But
Listen,
Oh,
okay,
let's fix
good.
it.
Yeah,
Let's fix it. Let's start over.
I was gonna ask you like who you're thinking about, what you're going through right now. But go ahead and tell us who you took, why you took them, and how bad your team gonna be this season.
my team's gonna be
Whoa,
my
whoa,
team
hey.
is going to be good. I am building a team this season that's not gonna start 0-8 and then have to win 10 straight games to make the play-ins.
All right, all right. Write
So
that down. Write that down.
But they're gonna go
I,
9-8 and go into play-ins. Got
yeah, it
it.
doesn't matter. We're not starting 0-8. No, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna select, a long time member of multiple leagues, and I'm gonna select Blitz here. Blitz, well known, solid player, can be very aggressive. Kind of fits that Wolfie role that I was kind of looking at getting at from Wolfie. So I'm gonna go and select Blitz here.
I love it. I love it. That's another, yeah. I like the pick there. I like the pick there for sure. As yeah, Speed is trying to figure out how the rest of his roster is going to work. Blitz 1346, still 1378 to work with, but pretty much filled out their potential starting three: Illusion, Speed, and Blitz. So we'll see how they do. And I got to shout out, Grebsy one more time. Also gifting a sub. So he's gifting a sub to the other guy that was gifting subs, gifting one to Sweaty. So shout out Grebsy. He's loving the gifted subs out there in the chat. Much love as always to Mr. Grebsy. But yeah, that's gonna put Ember on the clock there as they are gonna try to turn things around as Ventus not the best season last season. It's actually one of the worst seasons ever. But they're going to try to turn it around here.
Yeah, I mean, I really feel for them. I do. I think that overall they could have been something, but sometimes the cards just don't fold. Sometimes they aren't the right things for you this season,
Yeah.
and that was definitely the case for Emperor. I mean, it was a little bit unfortunate, um,
A win for them.
but it's yeah. I mean, at least they won a couple games in the series. It wasn't like
Yeah.
they went and whatever 56 or whatever, where they didn't win a single game the entire season. They had some close calls, couldn't squeak it out, but they choose a guy who is very good at winning. He's a very good player. Cognition, a pretty good pickup. I heard there's a couple rumors that he might be a little bit um mental in the side of he is a weak mental, according to a couple people,
Mm.
but he is a very very good player. If you can keep his mental in check, if you can get a good couple players around him, keep his spirits up, I mean, he's so good. He played with KSU Wildcat last season for a bit, and I mean that is a great duo. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure KSU Wildcat probably not going to get picked, as he is going to miss the entirety of playoffs. So maybe not going to see that duo back at it again, but Cognition's still a very good individual player.
Oh.
Yeah, no, he's solid and up off the board next year. The Vipers making their selection. Gonna go ahead and select Crip, not our great streamer here tonight.
What?
Shout out Crip. He's not in the Prospect League this season. We'll see him in the Rival League. Shout out to him for putting some hard work behind the scenes, setting up the stream for everyone tonight. But a different Crip going over to the Vipers down there, and then PD going off the board on the Minotaurs. So Flip, that's going to round out round number one with those last two selections right there.
Yeah, we just talk about these last. I'll talk about Cognition first because that's my boy Cog. He was on the Melons last season. Weak mental, left the team in not even a week. Shout out Cog. But no, he actually is. He actually is really good. And whenever you get players around him, I did not have players around him, and that's on me, Cog. I'm sorry, but we eventually got players. But once he gets players around him, he can play with the best of them. In fact, I think he's debatably a jolly player. Anyway, Crip. I don't know Crip, but I know Cripist, our streamer, and I know that he traded 4 first-round picks for local, and that didn't turn out well. So I hope Vipers know what they're doing a little bit better. And I
Wow.
don't know PD either, but Sheriff, I'm going off Twitch chat here, which sometimes not the best thing to do in the world, I understand. But Sheriff seems pretty excited to have PD on the team. So Sheriff shell shocked that he got drafted by the Minotaurs. Hopefully, him and PD able to do some dangerous things on the pitch.
Hey, it's always good to have someone you know over there. Help them out a little bit. And yeah, Ventus, I want to throw it to you before we move on to round two. What do you make of everything? How things shook up here?
Honestly, a lot of the top guys on my board went off in the first round. I mean, I really like the Jonesy, Ed Tyso, Nug, Sheriff, Shackles, Vex, Cog, I mean, Wolfie, Illusion. Those guys were at the top of my list. So, I mean, pretty makes sense that all of them went. Crip, I've never seen the rival Crip and the prospect Crip in a call at the same time. I mean, that's a little sus to me. So maybe Vipers know something we don't. And there's actually just one Crip, and he's playing on two different leagues. No, it's not actually, but I think it's a fun kind of fun game. Looks like LK is telling me not to leak that information. So whoops, I might have said too much.
Yeah.
If I turn out I'm no longer in the league, you know who did it. But overall, a lot of the Prospect League players that I thought were the top players went off the board. A little bit differently to different teams than I thought they would have. I kind of expected Sheriff to go to Rooks because I know Speed was talking about him, and Illusions and Wolfie was going to go to Rooks, and Illusions was going to go to a different team. Kind of have to scramble a little bit. That's just how draft works sometimes. But I'm super excited to see round two. This is where teams are made or broken because a lot of these teams, except for the Banshees and the Vipers and the Rooks, for the most part, a lot of these teams don't have full rosters. I mean, Flurry doesn't even have a single player on their roster. Neither does Wyverns. These guys are going to have massive second rounds to kind of make up for the fact they couldn't get one of these top guys.
Yeah, and I guess the good news about Prospect, and we'll see it in Challenger tomorrow night, is that there are a lot of players on the board here. So a lot of different options to select through here. If you're a GM trying to make something happen, I know when I was looking at my picks for this season, that's something I considered too. Knowing towards the end here how many players extra there are here, it kind of gives you a little leeway when you're trying to build a team with all the great players on the board there. As we are diving into round number two, we got Velocity starting things off. They've got three selections here in this round, and I know Ventus mentioned also the Wyverns here, who are going to be coming up with back to back in just a minute here. And now I get the fun attempt of trying to figure out which Zay this is, as this might be the most common name in the Nemesis Discord, as there's at least four of them that I see here. So we'll figure it out over here.
You know, you really wish that people would have very unique names like Guacman John or whatever Urchin. Reuben Sandwich is another. Brad McSnack Rap. Sorry. I mean, there's a lot of unique names. Unfortunately, there are also a lot of very common names, and it just makes my life as a caster a little bit more difficult having to differentiate all the different flips and the Zays and the Sub-Zeros, but that's what I love to do, I guess.
Watch it. Watch it. That was a little unnecessary shot. No, I hear you. I understand. But just talking about Zay real quick before we move on to the next pick. Shout out Wyverns for picking up Postman. Zay was a Chally player last season. Fell about 60 MMR. Now I don't know if he just fell off about 60 MMR, or just hasn't been peaking in rank. But Zay is a really solid player. Obviously, Chally last season down to prospect. He's going to be a good player. Being able to pick him up in the second round, a good steal there for Velocity. And then we have Postman, the previous champion of the Prospect League, part of the Melons. Don't ask how much playtime he had during the playoffs. That's not important. But Postman was a G. He literally showed up to every scrim, even as the sub, and he was a sub, and Tragic Upset was like 50 MMR below him. Postman didn't care. Postman was happy to be there, and that's what I love. Postman, good vibes, good energy. Wyvern's lucky to have him, and now gonna see who they go pair up with.
Yeah, and I do gotta say we figured out the Zay, and he was actually not one of the four Zays that I saw. He was actually a fifth hidden Zay in the Discord. So we did get it figured out there. Finally going over to Velocity after a long time of trying and tribulations there. But we got him, and the Wyverns. It looks like they've got their first two to start out their roster. As they're going to come through Postman, like Flip mentioned, and then now King Koku is off the board, heading over to the Wyverns with their second pick for season 13.
And that's a
Interesting.
great pickup right there to go with Postman. You know, King Goku um, plays very, very well. Solid player. He's been in Nemesis for a couple seasons now. He's been on a very productive Gladiators team. Um, and he does look very solid. So that's definitely a good pickup to start your team there with Postman and King Goku, in my opinion.
And I believe King Koku was on the Gladiators last time I recognized him. Was he last season?
Yes.
No.
Hmm.
Okay, he was. Okay, I thought so. Thought I recognized the name. So yeah, solid player. The Gladiators ended up being decent. He gave us a good run, like I mentioned. My Origin team gave us a good run in the playoffs there. Definitely a solid player there. And then Flurry coming through. They're gonna select Stanless off the board there. Who has also been in Nemesis for a little bit, pretty active as well. Gonna go over to Flurry. So they've got their next guy, and by next guy I mean their first guy, because they did not. They're also one of those teams here that did not have a lot of picks early on in the draft. Gonna try to make things work in those second and third rounds. But if like I said, if there's a league to do it in this season, it might be Prospect.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, there's so many people, like you mentioned, there's so many people to choose from. So he goes up, he gets him a high sell in Stanless. Stanless being on the Bandits last season. They started off very hot last season. They kind of tampered down towards the end of the season. But Stanless has definitely gotten better since then. He's a great pickup. I actually am currently teaming with him in United Rogue. Great player, very active, communicates very well. So, definitely a great guy to start your roster there over on Flurry.
Yeah, the next pick is going to come into Chase is going to go off the board, and now I don't know if that's another snipe, but I know Sands was also possibly looking at this guy. At least that was a name that he DM'd me, so I don't know if that's a snipe, a second snipe from Hypernova here. Sands did confirm that Wolfie wouldn't have fit on the roster, so that one wasn't a snipe either. But maybe this one is an actual snipe there, as Chase goes off the board to Hypernova. So the battle of the snipes continues on into the second round here, and Origin, that's going to put us on the clock. And I do got to say, we're selecting another Zay off the board, one of the many with our selection. But I think I got the right one this time. So our third pick going to drop down a little bit with our MMR because we have to. But Zay is going to go off the board. I think he's Y2K Zay on there. So we're gonna go down the list a little bit and bring him onto the Origin team. So Sweeney, Antaiso, and Zay is the roster we're gonna be rocking with.
Yeah, Rocker Man, I just want to say that is a solid duo you have, and then you added a Zay, and I didn't realize, adding a literal bot that just copied someone else's name was the plan, but that's all you. But although maybe this Zay is worth his more than his salary, I'm assuming you're picking up the one that's like 1340 ish. It's probably the one
Yes.
that yeah, okay, that's the one. Yeah, 1344. That's the one you're going for. That's the one. And I think you have a solid. Okay, you have a solid duo. I'm gonna. I don't have the calculator on me. I couldn't tell you how much MMR you have left. But you're probably still sitting at around that 1360 range. So maybe you pick up another player. Maybe this is your three. I don't know. I don't know what you saw. But just looking at some of these teams here, we're seeing a lot of these teams have three players now filled out. And so now I think what we kind of saw in a novice, where it was a fight for the 1100s. Now we might start seeing some fights for the 1330s, the 1340s that you just picked up. So these sub players are really going to start coming through here. As I was going to shout him out, he was DMing me during the stream, Gary to carry, more like Gary to six man carry because he was popping off in six mans. He was a novice league player, and now he's going up to Prospect League, lowest Sal, but he don't care. He is on a mission to prove himself. And lowest Sal prospect player, shout out Sands for picking him up. He's going to be great, and he's going to be active. And you know what? I think that's all Sands can really ask for.
Yeah, no, that's a good one right there for sure. I know he was messaging me too. He wanted me to pick him up, and I told him, I say, hey, if you get back around to us, I'll consider it. I'll consider it. I'm gonna get you a place. But it looks like a couple other GMs were looking at him as well. Yeah, definitely making a name for himself in the six mans, which that's a great way to get your name out there and play with some people. Even pretty much of any rank in Nemesis, and definitely got his name out there. Gonna head to the Bandits, giving them 1385 to work with. So still a lot of room to select quite a bit of the players on the board. So I think Sandsbar knowing that, hey, when you can get the very bottom MMR, sometimes you just got to go for it.
Yeah, I was a little surprised to see, Sands go down and get Gary this early, especially when he has 1385 to go. Because the bottom of Prospect, there's not a lot of people, but there's definitely enough. But maybe he's just trying to min max here, looking at everybody else. You get that very bottom 1320, the lowest you can be in Prospect. Just gives him as much as he can, afford later on when his fourth pick comes.
Yeah, there's still some really good players, 1385 and below. Shout out a couple great names here. Ruben Sandwich, fantastic name here. Then we have, some OGs like Grebsy, who has been more than gracious today, or sorry, tonight. In the Twitch chat with the gifted subs. Hopefully someone's able to pick him up because Grebsy deserves a spot on a team. In fact, he was selling his soul in chat earlier. I don't know what that was about, but a couple more picks come through here, and just looking at some of these teams, Ventus, a couple of these picks, we have Blackhawks, selecting it's time. So, Ventus, what do you think it's time for? Is it time for a dub for the Blackhawks finally?
I mean, honestly, they had a really good shot in the playoffs last season. I really liked that roster, especially with Kosh. Another one of the guys that in Nemesis Fantasy I drafted, super super great guy. I knew he was going to do really well, and unfortunately that roster couldn't bring a chip to Crip. Crip spent a lot of draft capital on that team as well, I believe. Didn't work out that season either. Unfortunate. Maybe there's a sign that not everything can be solved by throwing picks at players, but maybe just maybe they have something cooking here with It's Time. I think that with only Clangers and It's Time, they got a super fun name team. I don't really know a lot about either of those guys, but sometimes you can find a diamond in the rough off of a player who isn't really well known, is kind of a rookie, and I think that's what Crip sees in these guys. I think that he really thinks that they have the potential to be great. I think that they showed out really well in his tryouts, and I'm excited to see what the Gladiators. I just looked at the draft picks. The Blackhawks can do with these two guys on the team.
Yeah, no, I do got to shout out Time as well, because kind of like how Flip was talking about Postman, Time was also one of the players for us on Origin last season, where he was the sub. He didn't get much playing time, but he was there for us, for the scrims, and in case of emergencies, he was there and ready to participate. And he's been around Nemesis for quite some time, no pun intended.
Was he on
But
time?
he was on time when we needed him. He was there. So hey, respect. The man's all about it, and I like that selection. Glad to see him go off the board there, and I think he'll do some. They can definitely do some good things for the Blackhawks in upcoming season. So
Yeah, as Craig
excited.
said, it is time for Velocity to pick as well.
Yeah,
It's time.
they
Sorry,
got it, and
one
they
more.
got they got another great name we mentioned
Oh,
earlier off the board.
Yes.
goat.
Brad McSnack Rap. I've said this before. I think this might be the best name in Nemesis, at least at the current time, maybe ever. Brad McSnack Rap going off the board to Velocity there.
Love that pick. I mean, Brad McSnap snack wrap. Jeez, it's a little bit of a tongue twister for me, but he played really well on the Vipers last season. Unfortunately, the Vipers weren't able to get a chip either, but they looked really dominant a lot of times with Brindy. And I forget their third off the top of my head. Don't get upset with me, people in chat. But I think Brad will do just fine on this Velocity roster. They got some interesting players. They got Zay, Household Nug, which I loved that pick. And now you add Brad to the mix. And I think this is a very scary team. I'm super excited to see what they're going to do. And just another team where I'm like, wow, this is a very solid team. They match up very well against every single other team. I still think it's a very, very competitive league. I don't see necessarily one team where I'm like, oh, they have the chip easy peasy. And that's one of the things that I love about Nemesis, man. All these teams look super close skill wise.
Yeah, no, it is looking pretty solid here in the Prospect. I mean, I know we mentioned a little bit earlier, but Prospect last season probably the most competitive league, I would say, at least the very top half. I
Yeah.
mean, even all the way down to the play-ins, it seemed like it was, flip them maybe the most competitive league in Nemesis season 12. So, we might be
Oh,
coming back for a repeat of that.
guys, am I crazy? Did Rockerman die or did I die?
You died.
You did.
We'll
I
have
think I died.
to. Oh, I think Flip, we might have
Uh-oh.
lost you for a second. I think we
Yeah,
lost
we
you.
lost him. He's lost in the
Oh, we
sauce.
lost. We lost me. We lost my mic. I think.
Oh, somebody died. I don't
Guys,
know. But yeah, I mean,
I can
did I
hear
die? Oh
everyone.
my god, I
I
died.
can hear
Holy.
everybody.
Wait, guys, can we hear
Yeah,
Rockerman?
yeah, we can hear everyone but you. This is fun. But yeah,
What? I Rockerman.
Oh, there we go. There we go. I might be back now. I don't know if that was a server or if that was just me. But are we good? Are we good? Everybody good? All good?
I think so.
Nobody's dying today, boys. Let's go.
they just can't hear each other. This is weird.
I think we're good now. Everyone can Flip. You hear me?
I can hear you, Rockerman, whether I like it or not. Is I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Please don't
Oh
ban
wow. Yeah. Well, we'll see about that. I'll think about
Yes.
it. But anyways, I don't even know where we were. I just got like sent to the
Yeah,
void or something. I don't know, or the server just exploded. That happens too. But the cameras looked fine. We looked all good. I could see everybody
Yeah,
looked all like nice and clear over there. Everything was good, and then just nothing in the headset.
hmm
But we're back. We're back, and the picks are coming in. We mentioned Brad McSnack Rap. We also have Obey Jack going to Faded, and then the Gladiators are going to come through, and they are going to select Savage with their selection. Another person who's been in Nemesis for quite some time, and then the Blackhawks, they're coming through, and they are going to go ahead and make their selection. They are going to go with JJ Speed 15. So shout out Speed Demon over here.
yes, sir. Great name right there. JJ hosted our tryout last night. JJ looked pretty good. Um, you know, with what I originally wanted to do, he wasn't part of consideration, and then he definitely was a part of consideration once I got sniped. I decided to go a little bit of a different direction instead, though. But still definitely a great pickup there. I think JJ and Tynes and Clangers are definitely going to have a great time over there on Blackhawks. I think Crip knows what he's doing in the Prospect League somehow. I don't know, maybe because he is a true prospect player. But he's been able to build
He
some
did get
decent
drafted.
prospect teams, the last couple seasons.
Yeah. And Crip, I will have to say, I know none of these players on your team, brother, but you have some fire name. It's time. Well, it's time for only clangers. Literally, it works together. It's such a fire team name. Good job, Chris. That's all I have to say for that one. And now we are noticing. Am I crazy? But the Warhawks and Flurry only have one player on their team, and we're about to enter the third round. I don't see any of their picks available for the second round. So somebody tell me what's going on with those two teams because I have no clue.
Yeah, I
You
mean
know,
Warhawks 3 picks in the third round, so we'll see them. We'll see them up
Okay.
next. They stacked them up over there.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll choose to believe. But now we got Ember looking for their third as well here, and Ventus. If you're pairing Cognition up with someone, I don't know how well you know Cog. I don't know what things you've heard, but I see a couple names here that I would really like. One in particular, you talked about him in the novice league. His name's Guacman John. I feel like he's still on the board, and he shouldn't be on the board anymore. What a fire name!
I mean, Flip only cares about the names, man. Let's
That's not
be real.
true. He was an insane player in novice league. He was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like Guacman John. I think there's a couple other guys that I like: Fenrir, Solus, Kovalchuk, um, Dino Shores. He didn't have a great showing when I watched a tryout with him in it, but I've heard he's very good, and I'm gonna go off that pedigree and say to take a chance on him just from that. Obviously I could say KSU Wildcat, but once again, he's not gonna be there for playoffs. So unfortunately, that kind of docks him down for me. I'd love to see KSU Wildcat and Cognition team up once again, be that 1-2 duo. But you got a lot of names still available, and I'm hoping that one of those names that I said gets picked, because otherwise I'll look like a big dum dum.
That sounds all right.
I mean, you don't need that for that,
Hey.
but you did
Oh,
get lucky
sorry.
this time.
Yeah, one of the players. One of them.
Oh
I'm
wow,
surprised it wasn't the other Zay. There's still another Zay on the
uh,
board, guys.
is,
Like,
is there another Zay?
there is.
Zay
Oh, wow.
Cinco. Zay
Zay
number
Uh,
5.
I don't know. We might be nearing double digit Zays at this point. I'm not gonna lie. There's about a lot of them. As the pick is gonna come in, it is gonna be Kovalchuk right before he had a possible chance to go back to Velocity. He's gonna be selected by Ember. I was working with T Man there. He was trying to figure out how he's gonna make this happen. I think he's trying to go high up there to make a selection here. It's gonna give him 1329 remaining on cap room. So he's still good on the cap there, but he's going to select Kovalchuk and kind of round out their 3-man starting roster, which honestly isn't looking that bad. I have to say that this does not look like an 0-18 team. Bold take.
I'd hope not.
They'll prove you wrong.
I maybe they will. Maybe they will. I don't know.
I mean, they
Nah.
might get stuck with no sub and run into availability issues, as there is only one possible player that they can pick up from here on out. So that could be a thing.
Nah. Nah, I don't think
We
so.
have known some GMs who go and take that player to leave a team with no sub, knowing that they have to ask for a trade and go for that, or just leave them with no sub and hope that someone in the bottom 9 MMR of Prospect joins before they run into too many issues. So it could be a
Speed,
thing, but that team's
Speed's
definitely
saying
very
something.
good.
Speed's trying to say something. Sounds like Speed's next selection is going to be East Coast Ghost. Is what I'm hearing after this one. That's what I'm hearing after Velocity though. They are on the clock here. Gonna make their final selection of the night. Their roster getting filled out here. 1378 remaining. So we'll see what they're gonna be up to here. Still a lot of room to select nearly half the people on the board. So we'll have to see what Jack's is cooking up here. But
Grab Z, grab Z, grab Z, grab Z.
Krebsy is still available there on the board. 1357. He's donated a lot of
Too many
subs. A lot of subs. He did give us 2 more since last time we shouted him out, and also shout out to JP with a gift and a sub as well. Appreciate the support as always. As there goes the man himself off the board, heading to Velocity. He does get selected. Shout out Grebsy. He's got a nice home over there with Velocity there. gonna round out their rosters. So big shout out to Grebsy on that one. I think he's been on Velocity before as well. Mal is saying that as well, back to Velocity. So he's making it back.
Ooh.
He is making it back, and I've been sniped yet again.
Oh wow, he
I'm
was
sorry.
flip smoke it into existence. Hey,
I'm
I
sorry.
wanted to yell to you to stop so bad, and you're just sitting there going, "Grabsy, Grabsy,
Speed.
Grabsy,
I felt bad. He hadn't been
Grabsy."
picked yet, Speed.
Hey,
Oh my goodness.
I will say I was gonna select him too if he came back around to me. So that's who I was looking at. So it's a double snipe maybe
I was
on that
hoping to have
front.
some martinis that night before games, after games with Grebsy,
Mm.
and
Hey,
Jack
well,
said
I
to
guess.
ruin that. But I got plenty of other options. Just gonna finalize that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
We'll let Speed think about his selection. He's back on the clock. But big shout out to Gribsy there. Also shout out to Time gifting a sub to Mr. Sweeney, former teammates last season. So shout out to the gifted there. But yeah, we'll have to see how things are gonna shake out with Speed's final pick here. See what he's gonna end up going with as we're near the end of round two, and then we'll head into the last two rounds, which again are a little bit shorter because the rosters are filled out. I know there's a lot of people still on the board. Ventus, as we kind of close out this round number two here, who are you looking at the board? If you look at this board, you're like, man, I'm surprised this person hasn't been selected. Who are you looking at on there?
I mean, I kind of talked about Solus and Fenrir and Guacman John. Those three definitely. Ruben Sandwich is a name that sticks out to me. I think that it's kind of surprising he's still here. Dino Shores, again, the name. I mean, a lot of people just say he's very good. So I'm gonna go off of what the math says. I'm a sheep, but honestly, I don't care who's left on the board. I'm just interested to see what Warhawks and Flurry do. I don't care about any of the rest of these teams at this point. Warhawks and Flurry have one player each. They have 3 picks left between the third and fourth round. Flurry only having 1 pick in the third round, and their last 2 picks are in the fourth. I have no clue what these guys are gonna do. I don't even know if they know what they're gonna do. They're just kind of waiting and seeing. And honestly, maybe that's just a strategy I'm not aware of.
maybe maybe who knows. I mean, hey, take your time and work it down here. As Speed, he is also working his time down to the final seconds here, and gonna make the last selection with Ace off of the board there, heading over there. What do you see? What do you see in Ace there, Mr. Speed?
I
Anything?
see. Last season, I tried to work it out with Ace. It didn't quite work out, but I've recently seen him play again. I think he has, worked on and fixed the things that I saw that were issues that weren't quite working. Um, so excited to bring Ace back. I know he's a great dude to have around. Um, definitely a great team player. It just didn't work out last season, but I'm determined. I thought it was gonna work last season. I've seen some improvements from him, so we're gonna make it work this season.
Hey, fair enough. Fair enough. We'll see what we can do. I like the team comp there. Another team that's finalized right there. And speaking of a team we haven't said anything about because they already had their 3-man roster via a big trade in the offseason, getting Crotera is the Melons who are on the clock here. Shadow the GM, getting Crotera in the trade there, and then tragic upset as well, heading on over. So another one of those teams. I know it seemed like most of these trades happened in the higher leagues. I know Ghost Bacon was one that we didn't really quite get to mention yet, heading over to the Vandals, but this was another one there. Crotera traded over from the Pantheon, heading over to this Fruit Ninjas team, and they are going to go ahead and make their selection, and it's going to be Ruben Sandwich, another solid name. And I do want to throw it to Speed because you've played with Mr. Ruben before, Speed.
I have played with Ruben before. There was a big kind of debacle with that. Same thing. I thought it was gonna work out. I've played against him, but playing together, it didn't quite work out. People think I sold him a little too early and didn't give it a fair chance. But I have no issues with Ruben. Ruben's a great player. I don't like playing against him, which is why I thought playing with him would work. But, that was a couple seasons ago now. Ruben's still one of those tough players to play against. You add him to that scary Melons roster with Croter, Shadows, and Tragic, who, I know have all won chips before. They're all great players. They're all Nemesis veterans now at this point. So it's definitely scary. And, honestly, in my opinion, other than Crotero, I don't know who's going to start for that roster. It could be, you know, any given day, whoever's just feeling better that day in warmups. I think Crotera is, kind of a clear cut starter for them. But other than that, they could go so many different ways, so many different play styles.
Yeah, Ventus, I want to throw it to you before we move into round three. What do you make of round number two? Maybe less snipes because as the rounds go, a lot harder to snipe people. But what do you make of round two as we're going to be heading into our third round in just a sec?
Honestly, I mean, it's a lot of value here, right? Like, I really like the King Koku. I really like the JJ Speed. I really like the Kovalchuk, the Savage, the Grebsy, the Brad McSnack rap. I love all those picks just because for getting them in the second round, and like some of those are late second round. I mean, I'm like, I don't know how this dude fell this far. I mean, especially Kovalchuk. I thought he was going to go a lot earlier, definitely early second, maybe even potentially first. And I mean, I talk about second round being where teams are made or broken, and these teams that got these high value picks, at least in my opinion, who knows how the picks are actually going to turn out, but I think they're very good picks. I rate those teams a lot higher now than I did in round one, where I might not have been necessarily too high on their first round pick, but if I love that second round pick and it's their third player that rounds out that team, I'm like, man, these teams kind of put it together, and I'm super excited.
Yeah, no, and we'll have to see how the rest of these teams turns out as we're moving on to round three here. Gonna put Ember back on the clock. I think they really actually only have one choice to make here, but out of formality, we'll wait for them to make it here. But Ember trying to turn things around from we mentioned the 0-18 last season, new GM T Man coming through here.
Boo. Sorry.
Flips obviously got some
Sorry.
strong feelings towards T Man there, but hey, he was an AGM of that Firestorm Org Smooth, passing on the reins to him, for this round or for this season 13. So we'll have to see what he can do. And so far, I feel like he's put up a decent squad to start things off.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna go and speak on this real quick. T-Man, great GM actually. I think he actually is a very solid GM. Don't ever play with him. God, it's so bad. That's all I have to say on that one. Embers, they do look like a pretty solid roster now. Obviously they got to pick up East Coast Killer. I don't know why my boy Speed here didn't take him from T-Man. I think that would have been hilarious, and Speed, you should have done it. I know T-Man was DMing you, telling you not to do it 100%. There's no way he didn't do that because I think just taking away his one sub would have been amazing. But neither here nor there. Ember fill out their roster with Cog and Kovalchuk, a little 1-2 duo there, and um, another player that I don't really know, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name. But I know Cog and Kovalchuk are really solid, and so I do think T-Man sadly is cooking a pretty good prospect team here.
Sadly, against against
No,
Flip's better
I
wishes.
I I do hate to say it. It's
Does not love to see it here. But what we do love to see, I know we talked a little bit about this person. Actually, maybe this was when I was talking with the management members before the drafts, but we're looking at this pick for the Wyverns going to select Dinosaurs, who I think they were talking that this was a person that seemed like they might fly off in the earlier rounds, falling all the way down to round three. But the Wyverns might find a little bit of a sleeper pick right there with Dinosaurs going off the board.
Yeah, I mean, I watched him in tryouts, and I thought he was pretty good. I thought he was solid, but I didn't necessarily think he was really special. I think it was just a bad day. I only got to see him for about an hour, so I can't really put up all of my best opinions on Dino yet. But I mean, he's so highly regarded. Everybody talks good about him. They say he's a very good player. And I'm excited for this Wyverns team. I think that's a very, very good value pick, especially not having a very high pick in the draft to begin with. Getting a player like Dinosaurs, who was talked about being in the first round, and you get him all the way in the third round. I think that's a big win for them. And finally, we got Zay5 getting picked up by the Warhawks. the Warhawks' second pick of the draft, and I mean, I talked about who cares about any other team. I just want to see Flurry and Warhawks. I finally get to see a little bit of what they're cooking. And they go with the generic Zay, and they're hoping that this Zay is the good one out of all of the Zays.
Yeah, I think that might be the storyline to watch here in Prospect this season. The battle of the Zays. I mean, there's three of them. There's three of them here just in the same league.
Yeah, and now Flurry gonna go ahead and pick up Solar. And I correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm wrong a good amount. Is Solar a rookie? Am I wrong here?
And no,
Okay,
you
hold
are
on.
wrong. They are
Okay,
not a
well,
rookie.
okay.
Season 11 runner up.
I'm
So
so sorry, Solar. That's on me. Well-known player here.
disrespectful.
Yeah,
He didn't
that
know
is
your game.
Yeah.
cannot believe I would disrespect you like that. But we got Solar and Stanless on the Flurry here. No other S names to really. Oh, there's Solus on kick that they can pick up to complete that alliteration.
Stumpy.
Oh, where's Stumpy? Oh, there's Solid Uwu. That's the one, Dan. That's the one, Dan. We got Solid Uwu. Or if he wants to be really creative, he could go like Shadows with a Z. I'm assuming that Shadows. Interesting spelling, but I like it. But Flurry, Warhawks got a couple more picks to go. But they could still pick a lot of these high MMR players. So if you're one of those high MMR players like Solid Uwu, or Red Stormtrooper, that's a fire name as well. You hope that you land on one of these teams because these other guys, they're looking at Control Alt Elite and salivating for that pick right there.
Yeah, trying to use the lowest MR possible. But yeah, there are a lot of those higher MR players, that can get taken off the top of the board here. So we'll see if one of those teams decides to go that way. I think Warhawks and Flurry are the two teams to watch out for in that department. But right now, the Bandits are on the clock to make their selection. 1385 to work with, so they got a lot of room there as well to try to make something happen here. And we're gonna have to see what they're gonna cook up here as they are gonna go ahead and select ECT Kakarot.
Yeah,
I don't know. I
it's
don't know about that
Kakarot.
one.
It's Kakarot. It's Kakarot.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, good. Got it.
What was
Got
that demon voice that just came out of you, though?
it.
Well, you got okay. Wait, it's a Dragon
Dragon
Ball
Ball.
Z. It's Dragon
Yeah.
Ball Z. If Vegeta goes Kakarot, and it's very good. Great voice acting. Anyway, shout out Dragon Ball Z. Anyway, yeah, great pickup here. But I still think Gary DeCarry should be the starter, Sans, and I think Sans knows that too. Shout out Gary DeCarry. That's all.
Love it. Love it. As yeah, he's gonna go head over to the Bandits. We'll see what they got going on, and it's gonna put Hypernova on the clock here. As yeah, we're rounding down to the last couple picks. Obviously, you guys can see a couple blank spots in this round, just meaning that those teams are already filled on their roster and don't have room to select more than 4 people. So as Grebsy coming back with the 5 gifted subs, Grebsy, 5 more for the road. He says. As he's gotten selected, he's done his service of the day there. So big shout out to him. And yeah, the next pick's gonna come off the board, and it's gonna be Shadows with the Z off the board with the next one, and then I think Minotaurs are following closely behind. Gonna go ahead and select Depression. And now I don't know if that's a good sign for the Minotaurs there for
Yeah,
Depression. I mean, I don't know. I hope
I,
that's
I
not a
heard
good
I
one.
heard I heard he's a mood killer. He's a vibe killer. I was just messing. I don't know anything about depression as a player, but the name alone, maybe he's going through something. We don't know, but either way, Minotaurs, they're throwing darts at the board, hoping something sticks. Maybe depression's the answer.
Maybe he has a
Yeah.
depressed shin. Maybe he's not depression,
I, I don't
depressed.
know. Maybe. I mean, it is spelled like that. Maybe Speed is onto something here. I don't know
Like
what he's.
Mm.
I
maybe
don't know what
maybe he
he's.
has like a bad knee or something, a bad leg that got
Mm.
crunched sometime in his lifetime.
I
Who
mean,
knows? But it
the,
does have the word shin in it. So
I, I mean, the good news is that that would not more than likely not affect his ability to play Rocket League. So
exactly.
that's
Unless somebody
the
kicks him in the shin. I don't
well,
know.
I don't know. I don't know if we'll allow that. We might have to get the moderation team on a
Is there
few
is it in the
people.
rule book, Rocker
Uh,
man?
well,
I don't know.
I mean,
It could
probably
be added
not.
real quick.
No kicking players in the shin. All right, we'll write that one
Mhm.
down. Mods, write that up. Let's get that added there. As next pick's gonna come off the board. Rin is going. So a couple of names down at the bottom here flying off the board. I know Rin was pretty much near the bottom there. Going to go ahead over to the Blackhawks, who are going to round out their roster. Still a lot of room remaining. Still 89 cap room remaining. So going ahead and selecting near to the bottom there, which is kind of an interesting strategy here to go all the way down when you got that MMR remaining. But maybe they like something about Rin and gonna round out their roster for the season 13.
Yeah,
Awesome.
you can never underestimate low sal players. I remember there was this one time a couple seasons ago, there's a Titan League team that had three players that were below 1800 on it, and everybody was like, what in the world are these guys doing? They have 300 cap space available. They're gonna be 0-18. Like, this is maybe the worst draft ever. And then they made playoffs. And when we were sitting there like, what in the world is this team doing? We have no clue why this worked out. They've been grinding, they've been improving. They stunned a lot of teams. They got some upsets and absolutely shocked. So you can never be like, this, maybe they should have gotten the higher MMR player, because sometimes the higher MMR players don't do it as well as these low sales do.
Hey, you got it. You might have a point there. MMR doesn't necessarily mean everything here. It's a telling sign. It shows what you could do in ranked, but sometimes those lower players, like you mentioned, can be this kind of diamond in the rough here and can really set you up here. So I don't know. Who knows? Maybe they know something about them that we don't, and hey, if so, you love to see it. As the Warhawks are got back-to-back picks here, trying to figure out their roster and running down the time on their first one here to see who they're going to select. Just about 30 seconds remaining here on this one.
Yeah, I mean, don't take all the time in the world, Warhawks. Yeah, maybe
He can
they're
take all
trying
the
to
time he
decide both their
wants.
picks. Maybe they're
Yeah.
taking the full 3 minutes so they can go bang bang and have both their picks in about 30 seconds. I hope. Maybe.
That's what I would
Yeah.
do if I were them. That's kind of how I operate. If I got back to back like that, we'll kind of know who we're going for the first one and kind of the second one as well. As the pick is in just in time, it's going to be Soulless gonna head over to their team there, and then they also had the second one ready to go. Gonna go ahead up the board a little bit, and they are gonna select Fenrir off the board, another Nemesis veteran off the board. So they did go bang bang Ventus. They knew what they were cooking up.
Yeah, and I mean, Cozy must listen to me or something, because I talked about being surprised that these two players were still on the board going into round three. They were still available in round three. Somehow the Warhawks, even though they didn't have a single first round pick, are able to get some value picks in the third round, find themselves a little bit of a solid team. I'm not really sure how these players are going to work together. I've never really seen them play on the same team before. But individually, it makes sense that all these players are pretty good. So maybe they're just going to see what kind of rendition of the roster works out best and just kind of chill. But they actually have zero cap space remaining. So they
Impressive.
filled their roster to the brim. Of for MMR, so maybe that's a sign. They're going the opposite of what I just talked about earlier, where low sals can be better than high sals.
Hey, you got the cap room, you got to use it. Make the most of it right there. That's what I say about all that. Um,
Actually, Ventus, Vipers, their pick has been, and they also filled their cap to the brim
oh,
with this, little pick here of Control Alt Elite.
nice.
Another long time Nemesis player. I don't know if he was here season one, Rockerman. You definitely know for that. But he's been here longer than I've been here, and I was here season 5. So I know, and he was here for a few seasons before that. So, Control Alt Elite. Been here for a while. Did take a couple seasons off. I believe it was like season 8, season 9. Came back for like season 10, roughly something like that. Great dude. Met him at Worlds, and definitely a great fit to finish off that Viper squad.
Yeah, not a bad selection by any means. And He definitely was in season one on the Wyverns, actually,
Hmm.
who came runner up in the Prospect League to my origin team way back in the day.
Yeah,
But yeah,
until that got
yeah,
yeah.
until he got vacated.
Yeesh.
We don't talk about that part. But different times. But he does go over here to the Vipers. Been yeah Nemesis at least in season one, at least on and off. But yeah, he's gonna head over to the Vipers to round out their roster, and that does put Origin on the clock to make our selection to round things out. And I think I know what I want to do. I was waiting for some Sweeney confirmation, but I think we know the spot where we're rocking with 1361 to go here.
uh, mm, who might this pick be if we're gonna leak information?
Well, I'll see if Sweeney has. He says okay, so we'll do it. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna select Reckless to round things out here. Another player that's been in Nemesis, All Star last season, and or not last season, season 11, and seasons all run together. But just like Reckless, use our MMR down there to pick him up with our last selection, kind of round out our roster there. So happy to bring him on. And yeah, he's actually going to be the third highest MMR player. So we'll see what happens with the Origin third. But either way, I always take a Nemesis veteran here. When I get the opportunity, or at least someone I know is going to be active, especially in the lower leagues. And I think Reckless will be a good selection there. But that is going to round out round number three. Flip, I don't know if you have anything to add on round number three, because we only got four more picks remaining as we head into round four. Like I said, the rounds wind off real quick on that one. But what do you see, Flip, here in round number three?
I got two words. Dino horse or dinosaurs falling all the way down here is absolutely crazy. Shadows getting picked up by Hibernova, really solid pickup there in my opinion as well. Depressed Shin as the Minotaurs try to round out their roster, but honestly, to my two words here, Warhawks really cooked with their draft in this third round, man. Well done for them. Honestly, I really think this Warhawks roster is really solid.
Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but how many words is that? I think that was a little more than two words right there. But give or take.
Nash and Kerr must see TV. No.
Exactly. But yeah, no, there's some good teams that were made. I mean, we see the Warhawks, like you mentioned, made pretty much their entire roster here in the third
Hmm.
round. So I'm very curious to see how they turn out there. Speed, you got anything to add about this round number three before we close things out with round four?
Um, no, I think teams definitely made some moves. Kind of some surprising ones. Some team ups that I didn't quite necessarily see or expect. Kind of curious on how they're going to do together, but individually, great players. So I think things are, looking pretty scary. I think, this mountain division again is going to be pretty tough. I think your central division again is going to be pretty tough, Rockman. I think we're going to have, not discounting, the Pacific and the Atlantic. However, I think we might have a pretty close repeat to the central and mountain division from last season.
Yeah, well, we are gonna have to see. We're gonna get things moving on to round number four and the last four picks of the draft here. So we're gonna have to see what's gonna happen on this one. As we got Wyverns, Flurry, Gladiators, and that'll be Flurry selecting in place of the Melons there in that final spot. But yeah, we'll see what the Wyverns have cooking here. They're gonna go ahead and select Allen 5
What?
TV off the board there, who I was actually looking at them, but I wasn't sure how active they were, so decided to go with the more active player on that one. But hey, I don't know, Flip me. Allen's going off the board there. The Wyverns are officially rounded out, 4 cap room remaining.
Yeah, they could have picked Bone Doctor. What a fire name! And if you want to pronounce it another way, you can too. It's like I feel like that one, or yeah, but Allen Five TV, yeah, I pretty solid sub there, and rounds out their roster. They have 1,400 players on their roster. Um, as oh, Dan making a huge pick here. Sorry, I was looking at Embers and I saw the KSU Wildcats go over to Flurry, and I said to myself, "That's a Dan pickup if I've ever seen one." As we've been stated many times on the stream how KSU Wildcats will not be here for playoffs, but Dan doesn't care about that, as he just wants to make playoffs in the first place. And you know what? If you have 3 players on your team at the end of the draft and you just want to make playoffs, KSU is going to be a good player to pick up, I guess. And Stormtrooper, I'm sorry that I lied to you. Flurry did not pick you up. I apologize. My
I
bad.
still got one more pick.
It's not happening. Stormtrooper, it's not happening. I'm sorry.
They do have one more selection, but only 1329 cap room remaining. So we'll see what they end up doing with their last pick. But yeah, that's also a big pick for Flurry there at the very end of the draft with a high MMR selection on that one, 1487. So went with a well known person, but like you mentioned, Flip, if he's unavailable for the postseason, how long will they keep someone around on the roster if you're not able to play at the very end? So that could leave some moves to be made here, which always do happen. By the way, those moves in the regular season, rosters are always a change in as the season goes on. Even right after the drafts, honestly, sometimes these rosters can change pretty quickly here. But yeah, we'll see what they can do here as the Gladiators are on the clock looking to make their last selection here. And we're going to see what the move is there. 1377 to work with. So four people on the board that they can choose from. And I got to bring this up too because I didn't see this one at first, Flip. So shout out to you for seeing that the Bone Doctor was Bone Doctor. I just saw B_1. I saw an underscore, and then it just kind of broke my brain, and I was like, I don't know what's going on anymore. Something's B. I just saw B1
Mm-hmm.
Doctor,
Yeah, I
and
had
I
no
was like,
idea how to pronounce that name. I
yeah,
was so confused.
yeah. But
Um,
I think we all
I was gonna
thought about how to
I
pronounce
was gonna say should I say this on stream? Never mind.
no,
Yeah,
don't.
I'm
it.
good.
Keep it PG.
he's gonna hold himself
I'm
back.
No,
good.
no.
I'm good.
He
Um,
stopped himself. But there is possibly a missing letter there. I don't know if that's where you were going with that one, but maybe the underscore is a missing letter, and what that letter is, leaves everyone guessing. So I don't know.
I am
We will
guessing. I
never
have no
know.
idea what you're talking about. Yeah.
But it's
You
it's like
know,
an underscore. What is that missing letter right there?
Mhm.
B
We're playing
blank.
Hangman.
Oh,
Oh.
exactly. It's Hangman. I don't know what it is though. We'll find out maybe
I
sometime.
I do want to go back real quick, and while we're still waiting for this last pick to come in, and talk about that KSU pick for Dan and Flurry. Dan always has a Dan plan, and I can foresee Dan's plan on this one because KSU, great player. He's going to get you wins, and he is betting that another solid quality player on a losing team is going to get dealt away, and Dan's going to come scoop that player to solidify and continue this winning record that his Flurry team has made. But also with that KSU pick that wasn't mentioned, yes, mentioned 1329 left, but there's no one 1329 and below. So either Dan has something that he's going to try to trade, which I think the only player in the pool, there's 2 players in the pool that are below that mark, East Coast Killa and Gary to carry. So maybe he's going to be hitting up Sands or something, but they cannot pick anyone else up. So they're just going to be,
Yeah,
rocking with a
that's odd.
3-man roster, first 3-man roster of, the season.
Yeah, that is kind of odd. He had the MMR to pick someone up that's a little bit lower, and then also get a fourth player there at the low
Like
MMR.
Bone
Maybe
Doctor. Sorry.
like Bone Doctor, who does go off the board to Gladiators there. Shout out to Bone Doctor. Gonna be actually the last pick because yeah, like you were saying, not enough room to pick anyone up that's remaining. They do fit under the cap room, so they can sign someone if they do get added in the league. At that lower MMR position, but. That is going to be it for the Prospect League. And I know we had a lot of prospect players. Unfortunately, I did not get drafted, but like we always say here, if you didn't get drafted, just make sure you stay active in the Discord. These rosters they're always changing. I know GMs, Speed. I know you're one of those GMs. there's always room to make some moves in the season. And one of the things I know I look at personally, I don't know if that's the same for you, but I look at that activity. If you're being active, you're gonna be on my radar if I need to make a move.
Oh,
I look at good
activity,
names.
six mans is big, right? If I'm going to look for a move and I see activity in the six man's channel from some of these free agents, and the league that I'm looking for, you know, I go in there and subtly, try to scout them out, without any pressure, because then they don't know. They don't know you're looking at them. I want to see them without no pressure of, hey, I got one roster spot to fill. I'm looking to make a change. Um, do you think you could fill that type of thing? So I'll go in there. Obviously, just typing in chat, being active, especially on game nights, right? I want to see that you're active on the nights that we're playing. So definitely just, don't be discouraged, guys. There's, you know, I'd say there's good 50 changes per prospect league almost every season, if not more, of roster changes, player swaps, trades, drops. So definitely stay active.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, and go ahead, Flip.
Oh, I was gonna say also have a really cool name. It helps a lot. Like Walkman John, you're gonna get picked up. I promise you. I don't know where. I don't know how. It's gonna happen.
I
It's a
love it.
guaranteed.
Hmm.
I love it.
It's
I love it.
inevitable.
It might be inevitable, and we'll be there when it happens. We'll all be witnessing that happen. But yeah, now that we've closed this out, end of the prospect draft, I do want to take a look at these rosters here and get an opinion from you guys. About how things are looking. Who are you looking at as maybe some big winners, some big losers here. Ventus, I'm gonna start with you this time here. What are you looking at with all these rosters now that we got everything all filled up?
I mean, I don't really want to give you credit, Rocker Man, but I feel like you built a pretty good team in Origin. Sweeney, Ad Tyso, and Reckless. And then having Zay as a sub, or if he becomes a starter, he comes to start. But I feel like Sweeney and Ad Tyso is such a good one too. That you can kind of do whatever you want with the third man, and it'll work out really well. So Origin, I think, is one of the better teams in the league. I like Ember. I like the Cognition, Kovalchuk, Esoteric team. Esoteric obviously having to sit through a little bit of a downturn with Ember, but hopefully with these two, it's going to be on the uptrend. And then honestly, this might sound crazy, but I like Wyverns, Dinosaurs, Postman, and King Koku. I just remember watching King Koku on the Gladiators. I was casting a series against Origin. I put in my caster bias and it was just rooting for the Gladiators, and they pulled out a sweep. And he was so good in that series, and that's all I can think of when I think of King Koku right now. So I'm hoping that he continues to show out like he did in that series specifically. And he was really good for the Gladiators just overall. I think that Wyverns is going to be a pretty good team.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Speed. I'll throw it to you. Who are you looking at here in the prospect league?
There's one clear cut team that stands out to me, and it's got to be the Rooks.
No
Mm.
They
bias. No
they
bias at
look
all.
really good. Yeah, no bias, guys. No biased. Um, just team looks great. Rooks. Very crucial piece on the chessboard. Going to be very crucial piece. I feel here in the prospect league. But no, on a serious note, I'm definitely scared. Obviously, Bandits. They're getting Jonesy, drop down Chally player. So that's always scary when you're getting, good Chally players who, haven't seemed to, repeak, and MMR's changed and now they're down a league. So, obviously Bandits, you can't sleep on the Vipers. They had a good season last year. Hypnotic, Crip had a good season last year. So now pairing those two up, they're going to look good. I'm gonna have to shout out the Melons. That's gonna be a scary team. They're all very familiar with each other. They're close friends. So that's a very scary team as well. But all in all, there's really not a team that doesn't scare me. Prospect with how many players there were, with how the cap and everything, happened this season. You were able to make a lot of different combinations, with high sals, low sals, medium sals. Um, it's a very good spread this season with how everything turned out, and it's going to be another very, very competitive season.
It's gonna be a good one. Flip. I'll throw it to you. Anyone that you're looking at? Anyone that caught your eye? Players, teams, or
You know, your GM, your AGM, and the AGM that took your AGM from you. are all on one team. I feel like, what can I do but root for them? Like, shout out my melons. Crotera, Tragic, and Shadow, and now Ruben Sandwich as well. What a great pickup. In fact, they DM'd me. They're like, who should we pick up as our fourth? And I said, Guacman John. And they're like, what about Ruben Sandwich? I said, okay, that's acceptable because it's Ruben Sandwich. It's a good name too. But obviously that team, I think, previous champs, Tragic Upset does not play like a 1355. He either plays like a 1200 or a 1500. I couldn't tell you which one. Don't know how it happens, but it's true. And the other team, you guys didn't mention them. We didn't mention them all like very much, except for the fact that a rival player is on their team. Not really a rival player, but Crip with Hypnotic and Starfy. That's going to be a good team, and Hypnotic is still a Charlie level player. Crip is this Crip at least probably better than the other Crip, so automatically a rival player. And Starfy, we all know Starfy. Very active player, sometimes a novice player, sometimes a rival player. We don't know what I don't know. I don't know what goes on with Starfy half the time, to be honest. But I know that this Vipers team is going to be really good, and those two probably my favorites so far. And then last but not least, only Clangers for being a fire name. That's all.
Love it. I love
Yeah.
the name shout outs. Yeah, no, a lot of great teams all around the board. I mean, I'm just looking at them. It's always exciting to see. You get the hype at the beginning of the season. You don't really know what's going to happen. I'm expecting. There's probably been some DMing trying to make some trades happen after everything has been sorted out with all the pick snipes and whatnot. But really, a lot of great rosters across the board. So congratulations to everyone that got drafted. And again, if you didn't get drafted yet tonight, either in Prospect or Novice, just stay active. That's all, I would definitely recommend, like Speed mentioned, getting some six mans, be active in the Discord, be active in the streams, that's one thing that if I'm looking for players, I want to see activity, more than a lot of things. So make sure to be active, and I'm sure you'll get a good chance to get picked up. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for tonight. Big shout out to my caster. Shout out to the real Crippist behind the stream. I know we got a lot of Crips, but shout out to him as well. A lot of work setting it up for tonight. But yeah, it's gonna wrap it up. So we'll be back tomorrow night. We got 3 more drafts coming your way: Challenger, Rival,
Ooh.
and Titan. And I heard there's gonna be some more spicy things going down in those leagues up there. Always a fun time. So make sure you guys tune in tomorrow. We'll be back same time, 7 p.m. Eastern start tomorrow night. So we'll be back for the Challenger League draft then. So again, thank you all very much for watching, and we will talk to you guys later.
Doses.